Hi guys, it's Activate Worcester. Glad you could join us tonight, and if you're in the greater Worcester area, this show has an awful lot of, I think, real relevance to you. I've got two guests who have been with us several times before. We've got Kathlee Roy, and Kathlee is the grande dame of the Worcester Republican City Committee. And to her immediate right is another gentleman who's been with us several times, and he's developed quite a cult following, Ted Kostas. Ted is basically the financial guy who's been the financial arm of the group. And that's kind of a good lead-in tonight because we're talking numbers, we're talking dollars and cents that I think are very relevant to you. And the subject is the CPA. Now, the CPA to a lot of people basically means, you've got some accountant on. Boy, it's going to be a hell of a show. We're talking accounting tonight, guys. No, we're not talking accounting. In fact, one of you folks explain to the viewers what the CPA really means.
Well, basically, good evening, by the way. Thank you for having us on.
It's our pleasure. Thank you.
This was an initiative that was defeated back in 2018, by the way, and it didn't quite make the vote of the City Council until recently. It came up again. Our concern is that it did not make the ballot for the originally by signature. I don't know why, but it's on the ballot for this November 8th. And basically what it is, it's an increase, or surcharge as they call it, of 1.5% above your real estate and business taxes. So what this means is, anytime your rates go up, and they usually go up every year, you're going to get a surcharge of 1.5% that's going to be allotted for the conservation protected
Community preservation.
community. It's all Greek to me. And this is going to cost you money. So they threw some figures out saying that on an average, per household, it would cost $43 and some change. To businesses, $177 and some change. Give or take a few pennies on the first year. But if you did the real math and you looked at what you are paying now, which they just had an increase that was approved this last year, it's going to be more than that. And it's going to cost you more each year as our tax rates do go up. They said it's not a significant amount, but it is a significant amount to those who are, first of all, that are retired, who don't receive abatements for the real estate taxes. It's going to hit businesses at a level they're not going to be happy with because they're already paying a higher rate, and it's going to cost thousands of dollars. I know it comes out of their bottom line, but that bottom line, of course, with the economy the way it is, this is not the time to do all this. Mm-hmm. As you know, inflation is at an all-time 40-year high. Gasoline, I don't have to tell you, it's, as a matter of fact, gasoline started to go back up again because we're diminishing our emergency reserves, and that ends next week. Mm-hmm. So now OPEC announced today, along with the Russians, that they're going to reduce production. So now gas will go up again. So between that, inflation, I don't have to tell you folks how much you're paying at the supermarket these days. Eggs today, I saw the other day, $4.99 a dozen.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it is, if you can find it.
I went shopping, I'm serious, guys. I went shopping with my wife yesterday, and we saw eggs for like $6 a dozen. Mm-hmm. And not at some she place. I'm talking like Market Basket, okay? Everything is absolutely nuts and getting nuttier. It really and truly is. So I'm sorry, just to
well, that's okay.
That point.
So we're interested in folks being aware of this, getting involved, and voting no. This is not the time. And quite honestly, I have to tell you, we don't know who these people are going to be on the committee. And the appointments are gonna be done by the city council, by their committee. So anything is possible. They could change something on a dime. Because they'll say, well, we need to raise it due to taxes not be enough to cover our expenses. And what are some of those projects that they'll be having? I believe Kathy can tell you a few suggestions about.
Well, increased and promote green space, which our city council already appropriated in their budget, is they did appropriate money to take care of our parks. Historical preservation, well, they also are supported a lot by grants, private funders. I'd like to know what the game plan is, you know, for buildings such as pertains to City Hall upkeep. If this money will go to that, and also Mechanics Hall. And we have a great Worcester history, but unfortunately, a lot of people are trying to erase our history. So I'm really concerned about where exactly that money would be. And the other part of it would go towards increase in low-income housing, which Worcester is already at 13% over the Massachusetts mandate, which actually translate into 35% over. And I just feel we've been out talking to the community and our neighbors and businesses, and people are like, how much more money do they want me to give? Only 5 of our city councilors voted for no tax hike last November, and they were Councilor Calorio, Councilor Bergman, Councilor Merrill Carlson, Councilor Russell, and Councilor Rosen. And how this, like Ted had mentioned, I don't know how this got on the ballot without the proper number of signatures that everybody else has to do. All of a sudden it's on the ballot. I think this will be a detriment to our families who are struggling, like with $6 a carton of eggs, almost $5 for a gallon of milk. Gas prices are astronomical. People are struggling. People are really, truly struggling, and this will add to their burden. And that's something that I think needs to be discussed. And we also need to vote no, because as Ted said, this is not the right time for this with inflation rates and people wondering, like, how are they going to afford their groceries next week? How are they going to afford their medications and survive and live? It's just going to be an added burden to our already burdened homeowners, taxpayers, and to renters. Because what's going to happen is the people who own these houses where they have rents, they're going to get charged and they're going to increase their rents to cover that deficit. So how is this helping anybody who's trying to survive, live, and work in Worcester? And like you said, the CPO rules can change without voter approval. And as far as this would be an appointed committee in which the taxpayer will have no say in where the monies are appropriated. And I think as taxpayers, as a homeowner, I do want some say. And I'm sorry, but right now is not the time for the Community Preservation Act to be voted into our city.
A couple of thoughts. Number one, think about it. Community Preservation Act. What a sweet little term that is, okay? They know what they're doing when they come up with these terms. Secondly, this has received very, very little publicity. And as a result, taxpayers are not aware of this. They're not up in arms about yet another strong-arm tactic, which is really what it is. And you might say, well, what's so strong-armed about 1.5%? Now, they'll tell you, well, wait, you're only giving 1.5%, but the state is matching it. So that really becomes 3%. What a gorgeous thing that's going to be. And that's going to be used for all sorts of wonderful little things that are not being currently funded within the city budget. So on the face of it, it sounds very benign. Watch out. Devil, as we all know, is in the details. Now, what happens with this money, just as Kathy said, she's very accurate about this. Yes, and they talk about this. Those that are getting hit, once again, are the homeowners, because that's always the low-hanging fruit, okay? But then we're also going to go after those big, bad, evil corporations, okay? Because they make all the profits. Well, guess what? When they get hit with a price increase, Do you think they absorb the price increase? No, they don't. They just flip it to their customers in higher prices. And people are not aware of that, but they should be. Other issues. Yes, they start this at 1.5%, which is just a little trickle, okay? First of all, it's open-ended. In other words, they're not saying, well, this is a 3-year or a 2-year test program, we're going to see how it is, and then we'll reevaluate. Once it's in, it's in. And there's no control on this thing, which means they can jack it up to 2, 3, 4, 5% if they choose to. And also, as I say, there's no time limit on this at all. So it's completely wide open, completely open-ended, and then it becomes a political boondoggle. As Kathlee is saying, there will be a blue ribbon commission established. I don't know who these people are who wear the little blue ribbons, but I think you know who they are. And they're going to be appointed politically, and they'll sit around in little tables and they'll come up with nice little ideas. And by the way, there's no guarantee that the money that is accumulated for a particular year is to be spent that year. So again, that's another wide open thing. Mm-hmm. So then they can come up, this blue ribbon commission, with several different approaches or one different approach. It doesn't mean it gets implemented at that point, because guess what? It doesn't go to the mayor. It doesn't go to the city manager, excuse me. It goes to the city council, okay? And those folks will get into fistfights trying to grab as much of this money for their own little deals. And as Kathlee said, some people say, well, many people in this city are renters, so they're not getting hit with this. Oh, really? If you're paying rent, folks, when was the last time you had a rent decrease from your landlord? I deal with a lot of people in my business who are basically taking care of their rental properties, and where they're getting $1,000 or $1,100 a month for rent, they're jacking it up to $1,700, $1,800, $2,000 a month. So, if you're a renter, you're not going to be getting a free pass on this either.
Not at all.
So it's a well orchestrated plan to come up with more and more funds that can be, what's that old thing we learned, taxation without representation? Right. It all keeps going right back to that. Follow the money. That's what this is. This is a wolf in sheep's clothing, whatever you want to call it. It's bad news, and that's why not only do you have to vote no on this thing, but tell your friends and neighbors, don't vote on this. This is bad, bad news. Whether they rent or whether they are homeowners, we're all going to be paying. It's as simple as that.
And I'm worried about the businesses. We're trying to bring business in, not push them out. And the little ones who are still, the little businesses and the package stores, the gas stations, the ones who were hit hard because of COVID.
The restaurants.
This is just it's not gonna be good for our businesses, and people are gonna say, I can't afford this anymore. And they'll start looking at other venues outside of Worcester, and Worcester needs our businesses. So I don't wanna see them all leave, because it's getting way too expensive to own a business here.
What I find, and highly unusual, even the Worcester Chamber of Commerce is against this. And they're going to investigate it a little further, and I think they're going to be behind helping folks out with some more information.
Now, let me ask you this. Why do you think they feel that way?
They feel, I think that mainly, it's going to, look at it this way, we've got a lot of businesses in Worcester that are coming in, that are established. Between COVID and whatever, it's going to hit the economy. Gas prices, it affects everything. So if it affects business, how are we going to attract new business if we're adding more taxes to those business, to the commercial real estate tax? So what's going to happen? You're going to start driving people away from thinking of even opening up or moving into Worcester. I mean, there's biotechs coming in, there's all kinds of situations. We can't keep, blowing these people away with a new tax. We need that income. We need the jobs. We need some new businesses to move into the area because we're growing. Worcester is flourishing. It's a beautiful thing to see. But if we don't do it right, they're not coming. And if they're not coming, there's not going to be jobs. And that's the bottom line.
Well, you need companies who could provide jobs for people. Because if you really want to make the city great, not make it great again, if you will, but to make it great, what you really need to do is don't make it, how do I say this? You don't want it just to be a refuge for people going back and forth to Boston or Framingham. You want this to be a place that people not only work here, but very importantly, that they live here.
Right.
Because if they live in the city, they're going to care about the individual neighborhoods, not just about the Mercantile Center downtown, which is great and wonderful, and
We have
Ruth's
beautiful,
Chris
wonderful
Steakhouse, it's
neighborhoods
great,
in the
blah, blah, blah.
city.
All the young trendies are there popping $13 a drink, and it's lovely. It's a wonderful thing. It's compared to what was there. And I understand the Canal District is red hot.
Yeah.
And a big part of the catalyst, of course, was the Polar Park, which did 500,000 people. Great job, commended. But if you go beyond that, in the different neighborhoods, the Tatnicks, the Greendales, and so on and so forth, the Main Souths, the glitter is right off. It's not happening anymore.
You know,
And again, as I mentioned before, the rental issue in this city is a disaster right now.
it is.
And things like this are not going to help. It's just as simple as that.
No, not at all. You mentioned matching funds. Well, there's only 189 cities in Massachusetts have adopted this. Only 3 of those cities have received their matching funds.
Checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail.
It's coming.
And the other thing about that is everybody says, oh, well, we'll get matching funds. Well, guess what? Those matching funds, again, are coming from the taxpayer. They're not magically there. We pay for them. So it's almost like we're going to be getting billed twice.
So in other words, we've been taxed by the state, and the city is going to go with something like this based on the quote fact that they're going to be getting matching funds from the state, which is our own money.
Right.
But only 3 cities out of whatever the base is have received the money.
Correct.
So that's like a scam.
Is
That's actually a
West
financial
Boylston, I believe,
scam.
only got 17% because they have adopted this. And they've only gotten to date 17% of matching funds.
Of what they're supposed to be
Yeah.
receiving. That's 1 out of every $6 promised.
Right.
83%, it's in the mail. Trust us.
Well,
We're good for
they're
the money.
waiting for the state to really get that check in, as you said,
Absolutely.
in the mail.
Good God.
What they're doing with the money, I'd like to know what they're doing with opera funds. Statewide, there's still money in that account that they haven't used yet, and it's in the millions. So I don't know what their plans are for that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
another-
kind of dropped off the edge, hasn't it?
Well, because-
It was page 1 for a couple of hours,
Exactly.
and then like bye-bye. Where is this money going to be coming from? Is
Oh,
the
I
check in
don't
the
know.
mail?
It's in the mail.
Yeah, that's in the mail.
It's down at Foxwoods.
Yeah, Don Foxwoods. God.
We were talking too about how it's so expensive to live. And heating gas is going up 40% by therm. Electric is going up 64%. This winter's gonna be brutal. 64% on November, I believe it's November 1st. Yep, November 1st. Our water, sewer, and other costs have been going up every year. It's just, it's
Even
too
my
much.
Worcester bags that I go and buy in the
Oh,
market.
the ones that rip every
The
time you
ones that
open
rip
them?
everything, you buy more. They're now up to, I think, $8.50,
$10.
$10.
They're now $10.
Oh, good, it's well worth it.
Oh, yes, money spent very well. Recycling, oh my God, you can't even put anything to recycling anymore. There's a new list that came out
Yep,
recently, beginning as of October 1st. So you have to adhere to that list, otherwise they won't remove your recycling. So remember, folks, no plastic bags. You can't use
there's
the
no
plastic.
bags and spags, because there's no spags and spags either.
Nope.
So
You can't use the plastic bags to put your recycling in any longer.
Which is what I did so that it wouldn't blow all over the neighborhood.
Oh, I bet you they didn't take it.
Unbelievable.
I haven't put it out for this week.
Oh,
But now I have to take
I have a new
everything out of
method
the
now,
bag, because I have an extra rubbish barrel with a white bag, sometimes a clear bag, and that's where all my recycling goes. So now I have to take it all out and try to get it into one of the containers. And then
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, I worry about, like, things go blowing around when they're
It's a
not
disaster. I know.
contained.
I agree.
So, and the little green bucket, that's, maybe you can get, I don't know, Couple soda bottles in there?
maybe 3.
Maybe 3?
So the
A
bottom
milk
line
gallon?
with all this, the CPA is not the inexpensive cure-all for all the wonderful little projects, pet projects that people would like to see. And by the way, you used the number before. I was at a meeting, roughly a month ago, at a crime, we have, as we all have, neighborhood crime watch meetings. And we had a couple of folks from City Hall trying to explain the CPA to us. And this one fellow, nice guy, he did the numbers and said, well, you know, his house, he would be on the hook for about $43, okay? Which is not such a big deal, less than $1 a week.
It's
But
also,
wait,
it's also milk, it's also,
no, but just,
Okay,
should go
I'm
through
sorry.
that as well. No, don't be sorry at all, don't apologize. But the point is, his house was valued at about $200,000, okay? How many houses are valued at $200,000 now?
not a lot.
They're all 4, 5, 6, 7, etc. So take that 43, guys, and increase it by a lot,
Right.
okay? And again, that's at 1.5%. So beware, again, wolf in sheep's clothing. And I'm not saying that they came to sell this to us and they were fudging the numbers, but at the same token, these are the things we have to be very, very aware of. Very aware of. And if we roll over for this, if you enjoy paying your taxes now, and if you enjoy your quality of financial life, I say stick with it. Vote for the same folks that have given it to you, and vote for Maura Healy. She'll give you a lot more than what you have right now, and so on and so forth. We'll get into that in our next show, by the way, about who to vote for, who not to vote for, based on our perspective. And speaking as a warden, don't stay home, whatever you do. Shame on you if you blow your opportunity to vote. You can vote absentee, there's all by mail, there's all sorts of ways to do
Early
it.
voting starts.
Early
April
voting
24th.
starts real quick, and also November 8th, don't forget it. I don't care if it's raining and snowing and hurricaning, get your butt out and vote. We have people that come to my poll, okay, it makes me sick to even say it, God bless them. They're in there with oxygen.
Right.
And some of them are being pushed in wheelchairs and everything else. They love the right to vote. They fought for that. And to sit home because you can't do it. Polls open at 7 a.m., they close at 8 p.m. Hello, no excuse not to vote. Don't say there's nothing to vote for. There's a ton of important things,
Correct.
and this is an important one as well.
Yes.
I want to give you an example. I have an elderly couple that lives across the street from me. Now, they have a second floor apartment that their son lives up in, that doesn't pay rent. He doesn't get an abatement because it's technically a rental property. They're in their 80s. They're on a fixed income. They don't get any amenities. They go out, they buy their groceries, and they're having a hardship right now with, of course, prices the way they are. Now, to those people, do you really feel it's fair to charge them a surcharge on top of property taxes they can barely meet to pay right now? And how many more of those people around the city that are struggling? Is this really what you want to do? Because if it is, I don't even want to know you. But you've got to have some type of a conscience. And as Ron said, get out and vote, especially vote no on question 5.
Guys, if I can interrupt you for a second, once again, clock on the wall. I despise it so. We have about 3 more minutes. Are there any other ballot initiatives that you guys feel strongly about?
I do. Question number 4 on the ballot. We were out all summer collecting signatures, as you know, about the driver's licenses for illegal immigrants. Now, we've discussed this before, and I'm sure it's been around many tables at home, work, businesses. Do we know who these people are? Where are they coming from? What their backgrounds are? And a lot of us see the news of what's going on. So, we're giving them driver's license. Do you know that automatically allows them to vote? Now, the last time I checked, you had to be a citizen. You come into the country, you do it the right, they've already broken the law. And I don't care what your stand is. My opinion is they broke the law by coming in illegally. So now we're rewarding them. I want to thank the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for being so gracious. They want to give them a driver's license beginning July. So we got it on the ballot that the residents and the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has that right to say yes or no for a driver's license for an illegal immigrant. I know they don't like using the word illegal, but it's true. And we're not even vetting them. No documents, nothing. My name is so-and-so. If I did that, I couldn't get away with it. I have to go and renew my driver's license like everybody else with 2 forms of ID and pass the eye exam. That's the easy part. So that's another initiative.
So what they're really getting is not only a freebie where they get a driver's license, but they're also being given the right to vote.
Absolutely.
That's what you can attack with
My thing is,
initiative number
then you
4.
lose the incentive to want to become an American citizen.
Why do you have to be a citizen?
And our group
What's the
is
point?
offering free citizenship classes starting this month. So we have some people enrolled in these classes, but, we're not charging them.
It's great.
They may have to pay for the amount for the test, but we'll help them
It's great.
as much as we can.
So now that's going to be
Question 4.
So question 4, no. Question 5,
No.
no.
One more.
Go.
Question 1, very important. They say it's for tax for those that make $1 million. That includes businesses that make $1 million, that provide jobs. And they want to raise the tax on that. And what happens is it affects a lot of people. It affects even retirees.